Hello everybody, Nick McDonald speaking from Trade with Precision. Thanks for watching this week's ICE commentary video on the currency markets and the dollar index. We're looking here at the dollar index and coming back to where we were last week, we come down here, made a slightly lower low, pulling back towards 80, expected it to find some resistance there and it hasn't. And in fact what's happened is just really confirmed once again how indecisive this dollar index market is right now. We've made a lower low down through here, then broken up and made higher highs up here. So that is a period of no trend. There's no other way to describe it. It's a period of no trend on the dollar index on the daily chart. If you come and look at it on a weekly chart, it's still looking ever so slightly more bullish now, as we've even though we can get quite precise with the lows, if we just drew a line in here and just see, look, we've got support now formed through here on these last three touches, keep on bouncing off it. Now we're looking like pushing on back up again, which would look like 82 above as the only real resistance in the way. So that's looking quite bullish for the dollar index. Come and look at the monthly chart. This was looking bearish only last week, whereas we had these bearish candles and we're looking like breaking down through. But now with a big bullish candle, it's really indecisive until we see this candle play out. So at the moment, if the candle closed like this and the next month broke up through the high, it would be very bullish. It would be in fact a higher low on the monthly chart, which we haven't had for quite some time. At the moment, though, it's too early to really say because we need to see that candle. And like I say, only last week it was looking bearish along with these other two bearish candles, and a breakdown through would have been looking very bearish indeed. So at the moment it's a bit a bit early to read it on the monthly chart based on that candle, but we are looking very indecisive on the daily and slightly more bullish than bearish on the weekly chart. The great thing about the dollar index is that unlike say a stock index like the S&P 500, if we wanted to go and really assess the components, we've got 500 things to look at. Even on the Dow or the Russell, we've got a few thousand. On the Dow, we'd still have 30 stocks to look at. Great thing on the dollar index is we don't. We've only got a handful of currencies to go and look at. So what we can do now is go and have a look at these and really use them to help us decide what the direction might be, up or down. So let's look at the biggest component first of all, euro dollar. And euro dollar is particularly weak, so therefore the euro is particularly weak and the dollar particularly strong. Being the biggest weighting, you'd therefore say, well, how come the dollar index isn't going up stronger? Well, there's a few other reasons, which is the pound and the yen. So we're going to have a look at those in a minute because those are actually quite strong against the dollar, whereas the euro is weak as well as a bunch of other currencies are weak. So looking here, we had this major support through at 1.3. It's now been broken and broken well. Looking at this on the weekly chart, it's continuing now in a series of lower highs, and it looks like we should come down and test these lows, if not break beyond them. So euro dollar looking very bearish, and even on the monthly chart now, lower high, breaking down through that low at 1.3, looking like 1.25 and beyond. So euro dollar looks very bearish. That is very bullish for the dollar index. Things shows that prices should move up. If we come and have a look at GBP USD though, it's the complete opposite. We've got a strong pound versus a weaker dollar. This is one of the things that's keeping the dollar index not as bullish as it would have been if all of these currencies were moving in similar directions. This is looking quite bullish, and actually it still has got room to be more bullish. If we pull back into this 1.6 kind of level, it's the kind of place where it should turn around and go up. At the moment though, that is just, the main thing to note here is it's one of the things keeping the dollar index from going up at a greater pace. Come and have a look at dollar yen as well, because this too has been showing dollar weakness but yen strength. So here we've had a really good sell-off. We were really strong up through here. We've had a really good sell-off. The thing is though, now if we come and have a look at this weekly chart, the dollar yen is looking like turning around from here. So it's pulled right back in, 50% pullback into this big number of 80, and it's also really major support and resistance level. And then if we zoom in and look at last week's candle here, it's a bullish candle. So a breakup through this is going to be, this high now at a major support level is going to be very bullish. It's going to be a higher low on the weekly chart, and it's going to be a point where I think this should turn around and the dollar will turn bullish again. We just have to see a breakup through last week's high on dollar yen. So dollar yen looks very, very bullish, and I think even though we've seen dollar weakness here for a number of weeks, we're about to come back into dollar strength, which is going to help push the dollar index higher. Just have a look at the Swedish krona, which is something I hardly ever look at, to be honest, but let's have a quick look at it because the dollar is showing considerable strength here. And there's one thing to point out, that we've seen this real strength over the last few weeks. And if we come and look at it here on the weekly chart, you can see we're right up into a major support and resistance level here. Now, if we break up through that, it's looking particularly strong. And at the moment, been up there for, it's tested this a number of times. If you look at something like euro dollar, which had also been testing a major level but from the opposite side and has broken through, there's a bit of a heads up that the dollar versus the Swedish krona could break through here as well. If it does, there's pretty much blue skies until about 7.5 up here. So that is also a place where the dollar is looking particularly strong, but it just needs to break that key level first. Coming back and then just looking at this, so we've got a very bullish dollar versus the Swedish krona. We've got a bullish looking dollar versus Japanese yen, which is looking like changing the trend it's been in the last few weeks. We have a very bullish dollar versus the euro, and it's only the pound which happens to buck the trend and be looking strong. So all in all, though, it's looking positive out there for the dollar against the major trading partners, and this is looking therefore more likely to me that we will break up than down. And if we just come and have a look at this on a weekly chart, if we, we're kind of up at a little bit of resistance here now, similar to the Swedish krona. What we do have above is 82, and 82 is my target for us to see what happens from there. Between there and between where we are now, 80.40, and up to there, we've got a pretty good run, and 82 being a significant level of resistance in the way. Coming and looking at how this transpires on the daily chart, we've got a little bit in the way at 81, and it's just one of those key levels where we'll look for trading opportunities around 81 on the way up to 82. I'd rather be looking for long trades than short trades, and equally we've still got 80 here, so any pullbacks towards 80 could be position ourselves for long trades as well on the way up towards 81 and then beyond to 82. So that is my current view on the markets. It can change quite quickly if the daily chart continues to be as erratic as what it is. Last week we looked somewhat bearish. This week we're looking bullish again, but that's that's just based on the nature of the current erratic market we're in, where we do have these quite wild changes in quite a range-bound market. So just trading what we see on the charts, but things are starting to look more bullish for the dollar, which also lines up a little bit, somewhat with my view on the equity markets this week, where they're starting to look a little bit more bearish and starting to look like changing that uptrend and coming into a period of short-term downtrend as well. Hope that helps everybody. Happy trading. We're very interesting couple of weeks ahead, that is for sure, and we'll be interesting to review this again next week and see if the charts are still agreeing with my current view or if things are changing again. Hope that helps everybody. Have a fantastic week. Speak next week.